What's going on, everybody? It's Tuesday and we're here back with another video. I'm Rossato.
And I'm Gaston Rossato.
And today we're with a 1955 Porsche 356, but not just any 356, Gaston. What do we have?
This is a Pre-A 356 Continental. We're going to talk about what that Continental word means, but I'll tell you now that it's rare, and we've picked a very rare day here in Miami because it's cold, and cold I mean 55 degrees. I know people up north and around the world are probably laughing, but for these Miami boys,
it's cold.
It's cold.
It's definitely cold. I want to thank everybody who has subscribed already, and if you haven't, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Gaston, it's a perfect day to go golfing, man, and we have a perfect car for it. Let's go out and play some golf. A couple of practice swings, you know?
Don't break the grass, please.
That's the point of this.
Here.
To the ball. I think it's somewhere around over here.
It's a sophisticated golf cart we have.
Yeah. This car has a 1500 horizontally opposed air-cooled engine, correct?
Correct. It's a 4-cylinder. The very early 356s, it's true, they shared a lot of components with the Volkswagen Beetle.
I can definitely see that.
But ultimately, the car is not a Volkswagen Beetle, okay? It's a lot more than that. It's a lot more beautiful design, I would say.
Oh, for sure. You mentioned in the car, this is not just any regular 356, but it's a Pre-A Continental.
Right. So the 356 was broken up in several different versions as the car evolved, right? So you had Pre-A's, A's, B's, and C's being the later models. This is a Pre-A, early 356, called the Continental, which was a car that Max Hoffman was actually the sole importer for Porsche at the time. Out of New York, he was a car dealer, and he was doing Porsches, BMWs.
And that name Continental, I mean, that makes me think of the Lincoln Continental.
Hoffman said, the American public likes cars with names, not numbers. Let's make something they can relate to increase the popularity here in the United States. Porsche listened, and they gave us the 356 Continental, a little more luxurious, had some different trim items.
From 54 to 55 with a Continental.
54, 55, very rare car. They're about only 200, and I'll tell you why. When Ford finds out that this car is called Continental, they sue Porsche. They win the suit, therefore Porsche had to drop the name. 1956 comes along, and they call it the European. They didn't have much popularity, and those are already A cars, 356 A cars. So there's a Pre-A Continental versus a 356A European, making it very desirable, a very coveted, and obviously a very valuable car today.
So only 200. It's pretty impressive.
And you can see that design. It's just, it looks like a toy, a little bubble. It's so streamlined.
Now that windshield, that front windshield, the way it curves, this is something you won't find in the 56, which is already the A car.
Right, it's a very pre-car distinctive feature.
Okay.
The V-shaped windshield, which actually even earlier cars had a post, then the curved windshield, or the V-shaped windshield, and then finally they got a little more conventional as the years went on by. We should probably go for a drive.
We definitely should go for a drive.
You know, forget this game, and
because you're not good
let's
at
do what we do.
Let's do it. Very solid drive for a 55.
Well, the car has been restored, but very well restored. In fact, restored back in 1988. Back then, when you restored a car, you actually restored it with a lot of original parts versus, you know, aftermarket parts or fabricated parts or whatever the case may be. So the car is very authentic. You know, today Porsche will provide you a certificate of authenticity. When the previous owner in 1988 wanted to restore the car, he had written a letter to Porsche and they wrote back stating what the car is, providing its chassis number. It has the original motor, which you had mentioned was a 1500 4-cylinder air-cooled.
So would you say that 911 was born from this car, from this model car?
Absolutely. It was the 912 and the 911 that succeeded this car, that ultimately became the flagship car for Porsche. You know, really put it on the map, made it famous. But we look at the design of this car, and you can see how it's evolved. In fact, you know, Porsche just released the new 992 911.
Right.
There's so much in common
definitely.
with the car. You don't need to know about cars.
Yeah.
When you look at this thing, you say, oh, that's a Porsche.
That's a Porsche.
They've been able to do that probably more than any other automaker in the world.
I would say, because like you said, the design, overall design of the 911 body hasn't changed over many, many years. Every year, though, there's still something maybe a little different, but the design is still there, and you can even tie it back to, you know, 1955 with this car.
Yeah, although it's not the 911, but you can see how it evolved into that.
Exactly.
Very typical 1955 steering wheel.
A little uncomfortable for us because it's a little big, but...
But you know what? The way the dash is positioned compared to the seats and the wheel, it's like your legs are all the way into towards the firewall, where it's actually not uncomfortable. The shifting is a little strange because it's underneath the dash.
Yeah.
But, you know,
it does provide you the space.
I have long arms, so I don't necessarily complain, but I can see how that could probably be, you know, a challenge for someone else.
Yeah. And this is a 4-speed, correct?
It's a 4-speed, absolutely.
If I'm not mistaken, this engine produced a whopping 55 horsepower.
It was about 55 horsepower, and it was whopping for the time. And it's also, again, a very light car. I think the steering, it's so precise, and the weight of the steering, which is close to nothing, is what really catches my eye the most right now.
Have you ever had the opportunity of driving a 356?
I have, but this is my first Pre-A car. So this is the earliest car I've ever driven. I gotta say, I'm in love with the car. It's absolutely fascinating from everything. The simplicity, the design, the look, the color. It's absolutely gorgeous.
It is classy. I can't get away from that word to describe this car.
Absolutely.
It's classy. There's actually back seats to this car. They're actually folded down right now.
So here's a copy of the original letter. The original letter is available. We have that. Turkish red with beige vinyl interior, engine number, transmission number.
This is October 19th, 1988.
This car was produced in April of 1955. Designated for the U.S. market. This is gold right here. It's a correct car. It's a matching numbers car, both mechanically, cosmetically, color, condition. It checks off every single box that a collector's looking for. And even if it wasn't that perfect, there's always more room for error when you're dealing with such a rare car.
Yeah.
At the barn, when we're buying and selling cars, the rarer the car gets, the more I'm willing to compromise on the condition or what's not correct on it.
Right. And sometimes it's hard to find out exactly what's correct on it and what's not.
On some cars more than others, it depends on what era. You know, you have a lot of pre-war, post-war. The Porsche has a car that's very well documented. There's really good history. The Germans are pretty good at keeping track of things. It's always important when you're buying a car and things like that. Which, by the way, I want to mention that if you have a car that's sitting in a garage, or you know someone that has a car sitting in a garage, they should always contact us. Okay, we buy cars no matter what condition they are. Again, the rarer they get, doesn't matter what condition they are.
Or maybe you don't know what's sitting in your garage because it came from a family member. You have no idea. You just want more information or understand what the value might be. Give him a call.
This is what we do. There's a lot of things that have to take place, or you have to check off to really understand what the value of a car is, right? So provenance is one, collectibility, historical interest.
All right, guys, this wraps it up for this video and this week.
Thank you for joining us. Please remember to subscribe. That button's right there. It's big, it's red. Just click it. That's all you gotta do. We appreciate you having us here again on your screen.
I'm Renzo Rossato.
And I'm Gaston Rossato. You can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, all over the place. You can follow my company on Instagram and Facebook at The Barn Miami. Boom, right there. Thank you all. We appreciate it. We'll keep it coming. Till next week.
Peace
Later.
out.
I want full disclosure here. I am left-handed, and I'm sure this is a right-handed Putt.
You're making excuses. Nice and easy. Nice. Oh my God.
Woo! Oh! We're gonna play this all day, back and forth.
Give me the putter.
Woo! Can we go drive now?